Steve Park is one of the most recognizable names in stock car racing from the late 90s to early 2000s, despite winning in NASCAR's top division only twice. Why is this? Well, at one point Park looked like he was going to contend for championships at the top level one day. Unfortunately, Park's career would be completely derailed after a series of crashes. Anyways, what's up guys, NFJJ back at it with another video. If you enjoy, make sure you leave a like if you haven't already, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video. Anyways guys, enjoy the video. First, let's take a quick look at Steve's rise to the NASCAR Cup Series. At age 18 in 1986, he started competing in NASCAR's Modified Touring Series. His racing schedule was pretty inconsistent at the time, racing the full season here and there, and sometimes making only 4 or 5 starts. He won his first race at age 23, but didn't make his mark until the 1995 season. That year, Steve won 5 races and finished second in the championship by only 3 points to 5-time modified champion Tony Hirschman. 1996 was basically the same story, losing to Hirschman by 12 points. However, this would be the year Park was able to finally move up the ranks. He made 11 starts in the Busch North Series and won 2 races with 6 top 10s. He had previously made one-off starts in the actual Busch Series, but with his performance in the Busch North Series, he was able to get his first real deal together for the 1997 season. With who, you may ask? No one other than Dale Earnhardt. This story has been widely told, but it's a good one. When Dale was first inquiring Park about racing for him, Park thought it was his friends pranking him, so he ignored the calls. After the realization it was actually Dale Earnhardt, it didn't take Park long to sign for the 1997 season. In his first and only full-time season, Park scored 3 wins and a 3rd place finish in the points. Not bad for his first year driving the number 3 car. He was also able to make 4 starts in the number 14 car for DEI in the Winston Cup Series. After spending only 1 year in the Busch Series, Park was promoted to the Winston Cup Series and was going to race the number 1 Pennzoil car for the full season. After having DNFs in the first 2 races of the season, Park DNQ'd for the 3rd race. After this start, things would manage to somehow go even worse in preparation for the 4th race of the season during a practice session at Atlanta.
Oh, there it is. Top of your screen, there it is.
He did hit that wall hard. Then again. And then he comes down off the track and
He probably going to hit it again. He's going to hit it again. He has no brakes.
Wow. There's 3 times, and he hasn't hit the inside wall yet. And when I said these people scattered, and I don't believe there was any injury to those people, that does not mean that perhaps Steve Park has not suffered some kind of an injury, because he is still in the car. Here's the contact with the wall, and he hit that for a ton, too.
Sure did. He had 4 hard licks.
Wow.
Steve Park suffered a tire failure in turn 4, then smacked the wall viciously twice before hitting the pit road wall and coming to a stop. Park had to be cut out of the car and was taken to the infield care center, then later taken to a local hospital. He sustained a broken leg, a broken collarbone, a broken shoulder blade, and 2 chipped front teeth in the crash. Park underwent extensive surgery, which led to him being out of the car for nearly 5 months, missing 15 races. Phil Parsons, Ron Hornaday, and Darrell Waltrip all filled in for Steve during his absence. He was able to return that season, but wasn't able to score a single top 10, with a best finish of 11th coming at both Dover and Michigan. This injury would be devastating to any driver, but especially a 30-year-old rookie who was just trying to get his feet wet in the series. I'm sure he also took it easy getting back into the car at first, so in addition to health concerns, his debut season was basically written off. The 1999 season was a much smoother one for Park. Although he did not have a ton of speed, he managed to finish the season with only 4 DNFs and was able to gain valuable experience. He scored 5 top 10s, which again wasn't the best, but due to his consistency, he was able to finish 14th in points and have a 20.6 average finish. He finished ahead of guys like Ken Schrader, Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, so definitely respectable for his first true full season. The 2000 season was even better for Park. It was also the year of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s first season, the beginning of an iconic driver pairing for DEI. Steve was able to score his first career win at his home track at Watkins Glen. Steve also captured 2 poles, 6 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and a win in the Winston Open. He also managed 11th in points, which again is great for a driver in their second full-time season. The 2001 season started grim for the entire sport, but especially for DEI, considering it was Dale Earnhardt's team. A moment that just isn't talked about near as much as it should is the week after the 2001 Daytona 500, when Steve Park would pull off this magic moment.
All right, Bobby, he's off early, he's going to gas it hard, and here they're going to come to the line. It's going to be a photo finish.
Park has the run off the high side, he clears the body, and Steve Park scores the second straight win for Earnhardt Incorporated and the second win of his career.
Man, what a great finish.
Steve Park won his second career race against one of the sport's best at the time, Bobby Labonte. Park not only showed off his skills, but gave hope and healing to the entire DEI organization. In an incredibly emotional celebration, Park paid tribute to his late boss, who was the man who gave him a shot just a few years earlier.
Steve, have you ever tried harder to win a race than today?
Oh man, I brought tears to my eyes. I don't know what to say. Just want to thank Teresa. You know, Dale's the one who taught me how to drive this place, and he told me to stay off the brakes, and we stayed off the brakes all day long and won the race. So, you know, God bless the whole family. Thank God for this. He's been with us all weekend.
Unfortunately, this wouldn't be the last tragedy of the year for DEI and Steve Park. Park ran 9 races in the Busch Series in 2000 and planned to run about the same amount of races in the series in 2001. In his 7th entry of the season, Park was involved in one of the scariest crashes in recent NASCAR history.
Flag. Steve Park and Larry Foyt. What in the world?
While Larry Foyt was trying to line up on the inside lane as he was a lap down, Park just turned left straight in front of him. A great misconception is that something broke in his car whenever it was actually just a freak accident and mistake by Park. So under caution, going around the track, when I pulled the steering wheel, it came off because it wasn't just set right in the car. It was due to my mistake. Park was cut out of the car and was rushed to a local hospital for the second time in his short career. Although Park broke some ribs, this wasn't the main concern. He had a serious brain injury and suffered double vision and slurred speech. This injury still affects him today, as his vision and speech hasn't returned to normal. One thing the 2001 season shows us about Park is how fast he was. He started the season off ridiculously fast. Of course, he had the win in week 2 at Rockingham, then followed that up with 4 top 10s in the next 5 races, with 2 second-place finishes. Not to mention, his only finish outside of the top 10 was a blown engine. After race 7, Steve Park sat 4th in points and looked like a real championship contender if he could stay out of trouble. Unfortunately, throughout the rest of his 24 races, he was collected in a lot of crashes and made too many mistakes to stay in the championship hunt. However, he was able to get back on a hot streak, scoring top 10s in 5 of his last 6 races before the incident at Darlington, and had worked himself back up into the top 10 in points. That unfortunate crash derailed a season that was another stepping block into turning Steve Park into a true title threat one day. After missing the first 4 races of the 2002 season, Steve Park was apparently ready to return back to racing. However, everyone could tell something was different about him. In his 16 races back, Park had a best finish of 20th. Park would have one more brush with death in his time in the Cup Series. This is a pretty well covered wreck, so I'll make this brief. Steve Park was avoiding Rusty Wallace whenever he went back down the track and collected his teammate Dale Jr. Park somehow escaped major injury after tumbling several times and tearing through a guardrail. This produced another great moment for the sport when Jr. arrived first on the scene of Park's accident. Park would go on to score only 2 top 10s in 32 races that season and finished a miserable 33rd in points. He would return to DEI for the first 11 races of the season. After those 11 races, DEI and Richard Childress Racing essentially did a driver swap. They shipped off Park to race the number 30 entry for RCR, while Jeff Green took over the number 1 Pennzoil car for DEI. For the rest of the year, Park's struggles continued. He was able to pick up a pole at Daytona, a top 5 in Michigan, and another top 10 at Loudon, but that was it. Park was only able to finish 32nd in the points in 2003. He was completely out of the Cup Series for 2004 and announced that he would be racing in the Truck Series. In 2 seasons, Park picked up 14 top 10s, 7 top 5s, and was able to score a win in 2005 at Fontana. In 2006, he only competed in the Truck Series for 10 races and slowly started to leave the sport altogether. In the late 2000s, he competed in a lot of K&N races and actually won a race in 2009. Park returned to the Cup Series in 2010 and 2011, racing just one restrictor plate each year for Tommy Baldwin Racing. And that was the last NASCAR had seen of Steve Park from behind the wheel. Steve Park is such an interesting guy, and his story is one of a kind. A kid who was handpicked by Dale Earnhardt and ended up racing and winning for him in the Cup Series. Without his Atlanta and Darlington crashes, I truly think Park could have been a legit championship contender. Maybe he could have actually won a championship. Call me crazy, but he could have raced for another 10 plus years in NASCAR. After DEI's blow up, maybe he could have gotten lucky and made a move to another top team like Joe Gibbs or Hendrick and spent several years in that top tier equipment. After he got the hang of the Cup Series, he was blazing fast in 2001 before his Darlington incident. And just to put into perspective how early he was in his career before Darlington, Park was only 114 races into his Winston Cup career and had only 164 starts in NASCAR's top 3 series period. That dude could drive a race car. It's sad in a way to think of the success Steve Park could have had, but he looks fondly on his experience. In a 2010 interview, Park was asked how he felt about his first win and making Dale Earnhardt proud. Quote, "That's what it's all about. My goal as a kid was to race like my dad. And after I grew up, my goal was to make it to the pinnacle of racing, which is Sprint Cup, and to win at that level." So many goals were achieved that day. Lifelong goals. Not only having the accomplishment of a lifelong goal for yourself to be personally set, but to achieve a goal Dale Earnhardt had set. How many people have been able to live up to the man and achieve goals he had set? He set them for himself, and to live up a goal he set for himself and his team, it makes you feel invincible. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.